What we've seen this go around is the printing of money by central banks. But we are told from infancy that money is hard to come and we have to work hard our whole life to earn it. In this video, I will concentrate on the United States because they are the world reserve currency. But everything in this video affects us all since all the central banks around the world go by the same practice. Today, we will discuss the 3 ways in which money is created, the origin of wealth inequality, overview of what's happening today, and the way in which we can find our way out. The first form of money creation is the one created by the government. Practically, this form of money is outsourced from the central bank royal mint, but is controlled by the government. And averagely, the fiscal money makes just about 3 to 8% of every economy. The sole purpose of fiscal money printing is just to meet the obligations of banks, that is, give customers their money at any moment they demand for it. The amazing form of this money creation is government enjoys seigniorage. This is the income from printing fiscal money. For instance, it costs approximately 3 cents to print a $10 note. So the $9.97 remaining becomes a revenue for governments or as profit. The remaining profit to the government is what it is termed as seigniorage. So, since the government makes profit from printing and minting coins, which can help reduce the taxation burden on the public, you might be thinking, why don't governments always print fiscal money? The main reason government don't create majority of this form of money is just because of politicians. Politicians here refers to the government in power, and the other side of government who prints the money is the central bank. The politician around the office always has a set of goals he needs to fulfill due to the promises he made during campaign time. So if more money is created, the politician would use that opportunity to spend more in fulfilling his promises without considering the negative side of it. When there is excessive spending by government, it increases money circulation, which decreases the purchasing power of the currency. The second form of money creation is the one created by private banks, or the debt-based money. The vast amount of money created today is by the private banking sector. In most economies, about 97% of the entire money supply is created digitally by banks, or is the second form of money creation. When you go to bank to borrow some money, the banking license gives the bank the ability to create money every time they issue a loan. They do this through an activity called double accounting system. To break it much simpler, when a bank issues a loan, it's not somebody else's money which is being granted. Neither is not the bank's money. This is essentially a brand new money which they create. They simply type it on the computer and it appears as a digital representation of the government's money which you can spend. The greatest problem of today is banks have abandoned investments like real productivity and have shifted into the activity of just housing financing. This has pushed up housing prices, creating a bubble for so many decades. And since banks can create infinite amount of debt with little to no reserves, especially like places in the US, they tend to use customer deposits along with hedge funds to gamble in certain financial instruments for superior returns. The sole reason for taking such risky bets is the assurance that the government would use the Federal Reserve to bail them out. This has gone on for many occasions. The third form of money creation is the quantitative easing, QE. This is where central banks create money in order to issue loans directly to the banking sector, large corporations, and most recently, the public. This also includes buying of bonds and stocks as well. It's a way used to flood money into the economy in terms of an extreme event like the 2008 financial crisis or the COVID pandemic in recent times. The problem we face in today's world is central banks who create money out of nothing, but yet still they have the ability to buy financial assets like bonds and stocks. When central banks buy bonds given by the government or corporations, they can end up owning all the world's largest financial assets. For example, The balance sheet of the Japanese central bank is bigger than the entire GDP of the country Japan. The Swiss central bank owns $90 billion in American stocks like Microsoft, Google, Apple, and Amazon. From reality, throughout the 20th century, the stock market actually used to give a reflection of the economy's GDP, which is how it's supposed to be because GDP gives the monetary value of goods and services produced in an economy. But in recent times, that has gone completely out of whack. The US stock market has become almost twice as big as the entire nation's GDP. This literally sounds ambiguous. As you can see, there is a problem somewhere. For this reason why in 20th April 2013, millions of Americans became unemployed in the United States, but yet still, the stock market had its best month. Since central banks print trillions and give it to banks and hedge funds with just little to zero interest rates, this has made a boom in the stock market, whilst in the real economy world, people are barely get helped. And as described, money printing leads to inflation. This has made housing costs and stock prices go on extremely high. The few people who own large amount of stocks, who are probably the rich, ends up ridiculously rich, whilst there is no growth in the real economy. In this situation, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and this is the main cause of today's wealth inequality. So, society should focus on productivity, especially making loans available to small medium businesses, rather than gambling, like on bets, whether prices will go up or down, and excessive housing financialization.